Welcome to Raw Talk, Real Healing.
It's like therapy, but with more laughs and less copays.
I'm Gabby.
And I'm Diana.
We're licensed therapists.
But here, we just want to have raw and unapologetic conversations.
So come vibe with us. We're professional meets personal.
Let's get it.
Welcome back.
Hey guys. Welcome back to Raw Talk Tuesday.
Hey. We started like that last time too, I think.
Yeah, and I like it. It's more natural,
yeah,
I think.
for you.
Y'all like my lashes?
Bat them shits.
I am her.
Right.
Her is me.
Good night, girl. Go to bed.
I wish. Guys, this has been a morning already. Diana came here, and Diana always plays jokes on me like, just kidding. But today, you really got me good. This bitch forgot her computer.
Listen.
Well, we got some really good reels for you guys in the meantime. Let me just tell you, they were fun.
So, this is episode 25.
I can't believe it.
It's crazy.
So if y'all listened to last week's, we had a little disclaimer in there that maybe we should do a whole episode on the female cycle and your mental health. We were talking about just being a human and all of that. So we thought that what better way to lean into our human side of being a female than to talk about this.
Yes. And this isn't just for the ladies, guys. You need to learn about this so
Yes.
that you can help your lady during this time.
Right. The more that we understand, the more things make sense, because I think throughout our cycle, when so many things change, we're like, oh my God, is this real life? Yeah, it is.
Actually.
Yeah.
So let's start with talking about the phases.
First, I want to start by saying, though, everybody's phases and cycles can be different lengths. So in this, we're going to say, like, this can last this many days. Everybody is different. So I think it's important to keep that in mind. So, like, a typical menstrual cycle lasts 28 to like 34, 35, 36 days. Everybody ranges.
Mm-hmm.
Anything pushing 40 or longer, go see your doctor. So phase 1 is cycle day 1.
Yeah, menstruation.
This is your period, girl. This is Amp Flow. This is whatever you want to call it. I have to say something really foul. And you can leave it in. You could cut it out. I don't know. Maybe do like a bleep. My brother told me and my sister on FaceTime yesterday that when his girlfriend has her period, he calls her his little ketchup packet.
You know what?
And y'all love ketchup.
Brian.
How fucking nasty is that?
I hope you fucking put him in his place.
Oh, we did. We did. So what is happening in phase 1 is your uterus is shedding the lining. So as we go through the different phases, we'll talk about like what's going on. But as your uterus is shedding the lining, your estrogen and progesterone is significantly decreasing. So this is why women can be irritable, really tired, feel really sad. All of these things are a result in your hormones pretty much depleting at this point while everything kind of just pours out.
Right. Let's not forget cramping.
Yeah, there's physical symptoms to this as well.
Yes,
Cramping,
exactly.
back pain, headaches. All of these things are so important to recognize in yourself too, because I think people can like feel different things in their bodies and be like, why is this happening? But for me, I know like clockwork where I am in my cycle because of how my body feels. So these things can also be really hard to track though if you're on any form of birth control, because your birth control is going to mask these things. So being off of birth control, your body is going to feel these things more naturally and differently, and you'd really be able to see and feel what your true cycle is like.
Yeah. So, real quick, back to cramping. You ever see those videos where it's like a machine?
On men?
Yes.
Yes.
And they try to do like everyday things like wash dishes or
Yeah.
something like that. It is hilarious. I love that. I want one of those machines.
I do too, because literally, yesterday I think was day 1 for me. Cycle day 1. And the way your like uterus and vagina feels on cycle day 1 is disgusting. Like it like throbs. Does that happen to you?
What throbs?
Like inside here, it just feels like it's like,
Oh. Like it's contracting.
yes.
Yeah.
Imagine that's what giving birth is. But
I heard
way
it's
worse.
like 10 times worse.
Obviously.
Yeah. Okay, guys. Phase 1, menstruation.
Yes.
We're shedding. We're getting rid of all that shit.
Basically, what we're shedding is the lining of our uterus because we are not pregnant.
Yeah.
So before your actual period comes, your body is preparing for, an embryo to attach. And because it's not, now all of that is coming out and your body kind of starts all over.
Reset.
Yeah, this is like a Sunday reset. But for your insights.
For your inside. So phase 2, the follicular.
Yes.
I like saying that word.
Follicular. It is kind of fun.
Yeah.
This is the phase where we have more energy. If you're a workout girly, this is when you can like lift heavy. This is when your energy is pretty much like at its peak. Your estrogen is rising, your positive mood, energy, all of that is increasing. However, at this point in your cycle, some women can start to feel anxiety at this point because now that our hormones are going back up, our brains have sometimes like a chemical reaction to what's happening, and it can start to increase your anxiety, which can also cause like mood swings and stuff too.
Yeah. And also, you do have high energy here.
Yeah.
And an increased sex drive. So if you find yourself like, why am I just like ready?
Mm-hmm.
Because we're in the follicular phase.
I'm also going to say though, that I feel like doesn't come more towards the end of your follicular phase.
Okay.
Because your body, as women, our bodies are literally biologically made to procreate.
Right.
So once you get closer to ovulation, and like you ovulate on 1 or 2 days, but you have 7 days around that to actually get pregnant.
Yeah, like the window.
Right. So that window, within that window, your body, you're feeling your best. You're feeling spicy. You're going to glow. You're going to smell better. All of these things because they like I can't think of the word. I guess like your biology wants you to go out there and find a man.
Did you say you smell better?
Yeah, like your pheromones.
Oh. Wow.
They're like your body.
Come get me.
Yes, literally yes. So
Yeah. Okay.
you might notice being a little more moist in certain areas because your body wants you to do the hanky-panky.
I'm cracking up. And this phase can overlap with
Yes.
the menstrual phase,
Yes.
just to be, clear on that.
Yes. So this phase is typically like 7 to 14 days. It could be a little bit longer if your cycle's a little bit longer, but this is typically like end of the period to beginning of ovulation.
So I don't know if you mentioned that, but menstruation is around 1 to 5 days, and then you get into your follicular, which is like 7 to 14. There's no correct number. It's like
right, because everybody's different.
Right, because everybody's cycle is different. Like
right.
Usually, what's the most common? Like a 28-day cycle.
28-day is typical, especially if people are on the pill, because every pill pack pretty much is a 28-day cycle. Right. But I think if it's anything below 28 or pushing 40 and beyond is irregular.
Okay, gotcha.
Because then, like, you wouldn't be going through all of your like phases as you're supposed to.
Right. Okay.
I do a deep dive in this.
Oh, I know. That's why I'm take the lead.
I have been educating myself on this. And that's only because I have PMDD, which is something that we'll talk about later. And I definitely think it would be interesting to go through like our personal experiences and our phases because you don't have PMDD. So your experience throughout your cycle is going to be a lot different than mine.
Yes.
Very different. Everybody knows where Gabby's at. Okay. Any questions?
No.
Okay.
Thank you for this information.
I feel like I'm the teacher. Remember when we did the training and I was the smartest person in the room?
Mm-hmm.
That's now.
Maybe.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Just kidding.
Phase 3, ovulation.
Mm-hmm.
We getting ready for a baby.
This is when the juices is flowing.
Get up in there during this phase if you're trying to have your baby. This is
Right.
when you're feeling your best.
Yes.
You know?
Absolutely. This typically lasts like the actual phase is 1 to 2 days. And I don't know if you feel this, but do you ever you can feel when you're ovulating?
Yes.
Like you feel the release of like your egg. So basically ovulation is when your egg is releasing from your like ovary through your tube, your fallopian tube. And you can literally feel your egg detach. So, you know, this is around anywhere from like day 14, 15, 16 to like 23, 24-ish day, unless you have a shorter cycle. I guess that's really my phase. But you feel like a cramp and it'll be like, I'm ovulating. Like I truly feel it.
No, I do too.
And this is when estrogen continues to rise, your LH hormone is there.
Yeah.
So if people ever do ovulation tests, like the little pee things, that's measuring your LH hormone. Have you ever done one of those?
No.
Really? You like pee in a little cup and dip a stick? I did when I first started using like my Oura Ring and natural cycles, so it can like confirm and get to know you better. Isn't that cool?
Yeah, that is.
You should get the Oura Ring. I'm surprised you don't have.
I know. I don't feel like spending the money on it. It's a lot of money.
I got it as a gift.
See?
Well, money towards for my birthday a couple years ago. I told everybody
$400.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, that's crazy for no. Okay.
It does a lot, and it's very intuitive.
No, I will.
Or you should
Somebody
sponsor
will give
us.
for me or to me.
I'm gonna remember that.
Yeah.
Remember, we were gonna get it for Jasmine.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, rising in LH.
Also, I want to say this because I feel like I experienced this during that phase, the ovulation.
Okay, let's hear.
Increased body temperature, like high.
Oh yeah,
hot.
Sweating.
I'd be like, do I have menopause right now? Like, what's going on? Because I be sweating.
I get really hot on my period too, like sweat. It's disgusting. And this is when your sexual desire increases. This is when you're overall feeling like you're most confident. Because again, your brain and your body want you to go out and...
That was aggressive. I'm not used to you being aggressive.
I'm used to you, so...
Right. Now let's talk about phase 4.
This is when people typically start to notice PMS.
PMS. Luteal phase.
And this is your longest phase, which is wild. This phase typically lasts 10 to 14 days or until your period begins. So after you're done ovulating, you enter in your luteal phase, and then up until you get your period, this is where you are. And this is like where all hell breaks loose, truly. Your progesterone releases, which can lead to calmness and relaxation. I think this is when you get like really tired, sluggish, like don't really want to do much. At least that's what happens for me.
don't call that shit calmness, because
I know. That's what
my luteal phase ain't shit calm about my
I
luteal
think that's
phase.
what the progesterone is supposed to do, like bring calmness and like relaxation, because like you're prepared, because your body is preparing. This is when
your body prepares for pregnancy.
Yes. So this is when like your uterus like thickens, and then when it realizes you're not pregnant, that's why you get your period.
Your hormone levels drop when it realizes it's not pregnant during this stage, which then triggers your PMS.
Yes.
PMS,
which is anxiety, depression, irritability. For people who have PMDD, this is where you struggle.
Yes. Because you're going to see the mood swings here.
Yes. The
You're
mood
gonna have
swings.
your cravings, definitely fatigue. Like,
Yeah.
it's crazy during the luteal phase.
It does. And this is when men or women, if you have a female partner, we know. We know when you in the luteal phase. Jasmine knows when I'm in mine.
Gabby, everybody knows when you're in yours.
What does that look like?
In the middle of this, I'm gonna put a fucking train wreck chaos video in the middle if I can do that, because it's cray cray.
It is. Imagine what that feels like.
Yeah,
that's when
because I feel like I get a little cray cray, but
no,
I don't
it's
get
significantly worse. It's like extreme measures.
So when were you diagnosed with PMDD, or did you diagnose yourself?
No, I was diagnosed maybe like a year and a half ago.
Oh.
But I will say I recognized it like within myself before that, but I didn't really realize what was happening, because I thought that when you're on birth control that it was supposed to mask those things. So when I was on my birth control and I would start to feel like cuckoo. And for me, it's very much like depression and like body image stuff, like that kind of heightens at this point, where like I literally, this is awful to say, but like I literally cannot stand myself at this time. I mean, it's definitely gotten better, but this is what I thought, that if I was on birth control, like, oh, this isn't supposed to really be happening. So then when I got off of birth control, I thought that maybe that was happening because of the birth control. So when I stopped and it got worse, I was like, And my therapist had me like tracking like my mood and my symptoms for 2 cycle periods. So before she officially diagnosed me with it, like we had talked about it, but then she was like, okay, I want you to start tracking. And I had like a paper and I literally wrote down, and it was super shitty because it was like 2 days out of the month. 2 days in my follicular phase, I felt normal. And then once everything started rising again, I would go like kind of bonkers. Yeah. And it was like extreme anxiety. And yes, like when we PMS, like these things happen. But when you are diagnosed with PMDD, it's significantly worse. Like, how many times have I said, like, when I'm in my luteal phase, I should drop down like my caseload at work, because it's like everything is so hard for me at that time that I don't even want to go to work. I mean, I'm not going to lie. There are times where I was like, I need a rot day, and I canceled sessions. And every single time I did that, I was in my luteal phase. Because it's just like everything feels like so much work, and it's like you just feel really bad, like you don't want to do anything. I mean, typical depression, but it's only in that time period. And then as soon as you get your period, it's gone. Like, I'll get my period and I'm back to normal. And I think a lot of times, like, people are diagnosed like bipolar or BPD with this.
They are, yeah.
Because of the way like your mood fluctuates, and it's not that.
No. See, a lot of people think this is a like hormonal imbalance.
Right.
But it's not. It's actually an abnormal brain response to the normal hormonal shifts.
Right.
So it's really a brain thing. and how it responds to the changes of your hormones, not so much that your hormones are out of whack.
Right.
So it is definitely more severe than, just PMS, right? So it's not about just feeling or being moody.
Right.
That's not what this is. You're going to experience, like you said, the intense anxiety, depression. You're going to be so irritable. The mood swings, are there. Life is going to be hard. Work is going to be hard. Family, relationship, that's going to be hard because you don't feel good about yourself.
Right.
You have low self-esteem. Like sometimes people will have suicidal ideation in this phase because it's like you feel like there's no trust with your emotions.
Right. You feel like there's no trust. You feel like you literally feel nutty.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know how else to put that. And it's like you don't trust your body. Like you feel like something's wrong with you because it's like, okay, I'm okay this day. And then the next day I'm not. So a lot of times like this can be managed with therapy and things like that. But I know for me personally, for me to feel like almost normal, like a regular person going through their cycle, I started Prozac. And I have another client who is on Prozac also for the same thing. And she was diagnosed like a while back before I even started seeing her. And she had come off of her Prozac because she was feeling good. She was like, I don't think I need it. And then as soon as like her cycle went back around, she ended up having to go back on because it's your brain not reacting correctly to the fluctuation in your hormones. So for me, I started Prozac. And I remember starting like 10 milligrams and I was like, wow, this is like amazing. I was like, what a concept. My brain is quiet. I don't feel like a crazy person. Literally don't feel crazy. But then as my body adjusted, so I would be good for 2 cycles and then I would have another cycle and I had to up my dose. So the way that we manage my PMDD now is 14 days before my period or 14 days before like my predicted period day, I increase my Prozac by 10 milligrams. So typically I take 30, but in the 2 weeks before my period, I'll take 40 milligrams. And then as soon as I get my period, I drop back down to 30 because I need that extra boost for that period of time because of how my brain is when those hormones are moving.
Is that working?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. It makes such a huge difference because if not, I would have had to just keep going up. So like I need that little boost to be able to come back down.
Because you got to remember in this phase, in your luteal phase, your symptoms spike.
Right.
You will rage. You'll start to detach. You know what I mean? And like you are like F the world.
Oh yeah. Any close relationship, like you were saying, like family relationships, especially if you're in a relationship and you live with that person and like that's the closest person to you, they truly get the brunt of it. Like I can't tell you how many times like I literally felt like I wanted to be like, peace out. Get out of here. I actually hate you today. And I do recognize this and it should be on me to kind of manage, but I feel like if I am upset with something, I typically will argue more the week before my period rather than any other time of the month.
Yeah.
AKA last week.
You were all one.
I was, which it's okay.
Yeah.
Problem solved, but
we start questioning our whole lives.
Right. And it's
now.
crazy.
Yeah.
I talked to somebody before who also has PMDD and she literally told me, she was like, it was actually insane. She was like, I'm not even kidding. I wanted to divorce my husband every month. Like, that's sad.
Yeah, that is sad.
And like her poor husband, poor Mike.
Poor Mike. So Jamal used to call me Cruella.
Oh my God.
Every time I was coming on, he'd be like, oh, Cruella's here. And I'm like, that's not very nice. And now you're pissing me off.
Right.
I'm like, that's why I'm like acting like that because you're being mean.
But he could not be mean and you would still be mad.
Probably.
It's kind of sad. But the lady that wanted to like divorce her husband every month, she also ended up having to go on like hormone replacement because her hormones at that time were not even where they should be. So she had to supplement.
So here's the thing. Because Jamal used to say that all the time, but he's just dramatic. He was like, we break up once a month. And I'm like, no, we don't. What are you talking about?
Might be on the verge.
Right. Because I know, and it's not every month, some months are better than others. But what I have done is been so intentional, like knowing
it's
coming. And so like things that are irritating me, I got to work through those things. Just having, the intentions and being mindful has been so much better. And like, I was having this conversation and with Jamal, he's like, I'm so proud of you. You did so good. And I'm just like, I'm just going to take that as a compliment and
right.
like move
Keep it pushing.
Keep it pushing. But if we are mindful and if we set intentions, this can help, if you don't have PMDD, because that's something, a little different. But
so obviously, like I just said, how I feel in that phase, right? So how is it different for you as a person or as a woman who doesn't have PMDD and just experiences like regular PMS?
I think it doesn't last as long, and I don't think it's that intense.
Okay.
So there's still like irritability, there's still fatigue. I get like super tired, those kinds of things. But I'm also a person who just pushes through everything. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like, all right, it is what it is. You keep moving, keep forward, because I just don't think my brain has that response because I know what's going on. And like I said, just being intentional, about, all right, this is it.
Right.
We're in the thick of it. You know what I mean? So being there. So I just don't think it lasts that long, and also not as intense.
Right. I mean, I definitely think now knowing like what's going on, like that part is helpful because I can just be like, okay, like this is normal. This is normal for me at this time of the month. And I feel like now I am able to push through because typically I'm kind of like that too. Like I can kind of keep it moving, like with regular like life stuff. I might stress and whatever, but I feel like overall I can kind of keep going and do what I need to do. But it's like in this time for me, it's so hard to keep it going because I mean, like you said, like train wreck, but I feel like I don't want to say my personality changes, but I feel like I'm definitely more dull. Like I'm not as like happy and bubbly and like joking. Like I'm very much just like at that time.
Right. And so I want to look at this from a mental health standpoint.
Yes.
Right? Your nervous system, because that's so huge and trendy, right?
Yeah.
You have serotonin sensitivity going on.
Right.
That's why you're feeling your mood crashes. That's why your intrusive thoughts, start rolling in. And also your GABA response, right? This is supposed to help you lower stress, lower your anxiety. This is what helps you sleep better.
Right.
The GABA response or the GABA, in your body supports the mood. This is significantly lowered or altered here. That's why we can't get it together.
Right.
Because we're just like on one.
Okay.
And your symptoms are going to spike, especially if we don't have, those levels of GABA, in our brain.
Okay.
If
interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
So is this like in relation to PMDD, you mean, or just in general?
Yeah, because it's lowered because you don't have as much. And so it's lowered during your PMDD like symptoms and your luteal phase. It's
so low. That's why I have to go up in my medication and then come back down.
Exactly. Because
I didn't know that.
You don't have enough to create that like this is stress, this helps me calm down. This is something. No, it's like, where's that? I can't find it,
Right.
So that's why the medication sometimes like, all right, I need this. You know?
See, not the smartest person in the room.
Yeah, your stress response system is kind of like messed up, right?
Yeah.
Tolerance for stress is very, very low.
Right.
You know, this is what creates faster emotional flooding.
Wow.
There you go.
And I will say, because I did my whole like wellness holistic thing. When I went to like the functional medicine doctor and stuff. So the supplements that I am on now, which I do recommend to some of my clients who we know like struggle with this if they're not really open to medication, I try to recommend, like, there's one that my psychiatrist told me to take too. It's called Chaste Tree. And that kind of helps with like
Chasteberry or something like that.
Yeah, it's the same
thing.
It's the same thing. It helps with like the hormonal shifts and stuff prior to your period. So if people take that on a regular basis, that kind of helps too. But I will say, since going to my functional medicine doctor and going on, because my adrenal system was like in the trash. So like my cortisol and all of that was way, way, way low. So they were like attacking like all of these different hormones from different angles, I guess, like taking like ashwagandha and pregnenolone and like all of these different things to help my cortisol levels to raise. So even in my luteal phase, I feel like having those things higher and kind of where they're supposed to be, like you're saying, has helped immensely also. So yes, I still kind of go up with my Prozac, but I feel like it's definitely a significant change since taking those things as well.
Good. Something to point out is, sometimes people do feel shame when like your symptoms pass. Like sometimes you start to think like maybe I'm too much for others.
Yeah.
Right. And then when those things happen or we have those intrusive thoughts, right, you're like questioning yourself and you're like, I'm over apologizing. Now I'm isolating. I can't be around people. I'm avoiding, different things or masking, at that time. So having the awareness is completely important. And, having PMDD plus anxiety, trauma, depression, like, you have to pay attention, to these things because they can coexist. And
Right.
what will happen is it will amplify all of your other mental health symptoms,
Right.
Which, like you mentioned earlier, can lead to a misdiagnosis,
Right. Yeah.
which a lot of times it gets confused or misdiagnosed for bipolar and BPD,
Yeah.
borderline personality disorder.
And I can't imagine what that feels like for some people. Like, I'm grateful that, my therapist and, my supports were able to correctly diagnose me, because I feel like if somebody had told me, that I was bipolar or BPD, like, we know that there's stigma around those specific things. And should there be? No. But I think when people hear those things, they're like, oh my gosh. So I can't imagine like what that could feel like for somebody like that, where it's like, okay, now I'm this, when like really it's just your brain not being able to react to normal like hormonal responses. So I think it's really important to be able to recognize, like you said, and have the awareness and the insight, because when you asked me earlier when I started recognizing this, or kind of when I was diagnosed, I can remember as far back as like probably 6 years ago when I first really started noticing things, and I was in like an unhealthy relationship. But I remember at that time I was on birth control, so I would get my period every Wednesday, or on a Wednesday every single time. And that Saturday before my period, I was brutal. Like, were some of my feelings valid in like the situations that I was experiencing? Yes. But the way that I would manage those things, I would rage the fuck out. And like, I remember I would be like crying all day. I'd be like screaming. Like, it was crazy. And I feel like that's when I really started noticing, like, I don't think that this is typical PMS. because of how intense those things were, even when I was on, the birth control. So, and then afterwards, I always felt extremely remorseful. And again, I was in an unhealthy relationship. So there were other factors within this, but I remember being like extremely remorseful, feeling so much guilt, and then feeling really, really, really bad about myself following that Saturday every time because of how angry and just like nasty I would be.
Wow. That's crazy.
It was bizarre. But I mean, like I said, some of it was validated, and I don't want to justify my actions. However,
bitch, it was cray. It's okay.
Oh, I was. I take full accountability for my actions in that. However,
we're better. It's okay.
We're better. Everything's fine.
Right. So let's give a few examples of what this actually looks like in real life.
Okay.
All right. So let's talk about a mom,
Okay.
caregiver who is like early 30s to 40s, right? Keep that in mind. And this person plans her life around her cycle, right? Look,
I
kind
could
of how we
agree.
just talked about, right? Having that intention,
Right.
What that looks like. Every month, we're noticing that exhaustion hits hard.
Mm-hmm.
Noise sensitivity skyrockets for this person. So pay attention. Maybe we didn't realize that noise is like
right,
triggering.
and that could be like overstimulation and stuff like that too.
Exactly. Emotional overwhelm leads to withdrawal, and she knows that. Right. So when that happens, she starts canceling plans, avoiding social events, feeling like she's failing at parenting or partnership, which is
that's a good one.
Huge, Now what happens? There's chronic guilt going on. There's emotional burnout, feeling like rest must be earned and not like my body needs this right now, right? And so their relational impact was family misinterprets, those things as disengagement or lack of effort instead of like I'm going through like something right now. And like because they don't understand that, she feels alone. But also it's like too tiring to explain what's going on. You know what I mean? So PMDD forces people to manage capacity, not motivation.
Right. It's like, this is all I'm capable of doing, so let me choose wisely. And then, like, we know it'll pass, but it's like, how do I navigate this 10 to 14 days of my life every month?
Yeah. Like clockwork.
Right. And it doesn't always, like, it's not always as intense as we're talking about.
It's not always that bad.
So it fluctuates for sure. Like, I'll have a month where I'm like, oh, this luteal phase wasn't even that bad. I made it. And then another example, and we mentioned this a little bit earlier too, is thinking about leaving your relationship every month. So this could be a person who's with a long-term partner or married, and during their luteal phase, everything their partner does feels wrong. There's a lot of resentment. There's thoughts that they chose the wrong person. Oh my God.
Yeah. I know.
Oh my God. Okay.
And it feels so convincing and urgent. Like, no, like this, it feels so real. And that's why people lose like trust of like self, of their emotions. Like, is this real life?
Right.
Is this just cycling? Like, what is going on? Because you can really feel like, did I make the right choice in life and like my partner? And then once all of it is over, you're like, oh, I love you so
much. Demi. Literally. Hello. So, and then as soon as like your period starts, like I was saying, this intensity just completely disappears. Love and clarity returns. And then you kind of feel confused and scared because it's like, whoa.
What was that?
What was that?
Yeah.
But I feel like when you're a little bit more aware, we could just be like, it's just my luteal phase.
Right.
So the impact on mental health is emotional whiplash.
I like that term.
I do too. I was just going to say that because it's very much so like I'm down here and now I'm here and it's like, whoa, this happened so quick. Fear of acting on your feelings that won't stand later. So like in these moments, you can really react on like that feeling like you could break up with your partner. You could threaten divorce. Like you could do all these things. And then like in 3 days it's gone and your partner's still mad at you and you're just like, hey. So there's going to be a constant feeling of second guessing. So trust starts to diminish. Your partner and you may start to feel betrayed. There's just an unpredictability, and this can lead to feeling insecure within your relationships also, and feeling like emotionally unsafe.
Yeah. I think it's important to say that in this specific case, like PMDD can distort perception without erasing genuine love. And that's why you feel like that. You know what I mean? It's like not real, you know, in those moments you're what you're feeling, but it's not going to erase that you love your person or your husband. You know?
What a concept.
So, last example, let's think of someone who thinks like these dark thoughts scare the shit out of me.
Yeah.
There's no age. Like you can feel this at any time, right? So during that luteal phase, those intrusive thoughts, they coming in, they busting through the door.
They busting wide open.
Exactly. You know, that is where you start feeling like hopelessness.
Yeah.
You know, thoughts of not wanting to exist. Like, why am I even here? This is so terrible. It's awful.
Yeah.
You know, and then of course your menstruation starts and all those thoughts lift and you're like, have a mix of like relief with like fear of like, what the hell was that? Is this gonna happen again?
Right.
You
I
know?
think that's the part, like you anticipate this happening all over again. And I feel like that's the hard part because that way of life isn't sustainable. Like, yes, that relief after is good and it feels so much better, but it's not healthy to feel this low every month. And for me personally, I think that's what kind of made me change.
Yeah.
And be open-minded to being on medication because I was like, the way that I feel at this time of the month is not normal and is not healthy, and I cannot continue to do this.
Yeah, because you start to fear your own mind. Like, and then you don't want to disclose things to anybody. You know, you start feeling unsafe and like no one understands me. Like, why am I feeling like this and nobody else? You know, every time someone says something, you know, like this in their luteal phase, I'm like, oh, good, I'm not the only one. Okay. All right. Yeah. I'm moving forward because it can be cray cray.
Absolutely.
So let's think about what can help. First off, like everything, having the education, some psychoeducation, some awareness, like
listening to this episode.
Yes, exactly. You're not crazy. Your body is your body. Try to have, you know, the awareness, you know, of it. And, you know, something that I didn't know was a thing was cycle aware therapy, which is what you were doing. You know, track your cycle because it helps you understand your moods, your impacts, how it's affecting you personally, because everyone has, you know, has it differently.
And that is one of my favorite thing to do with like younger girls, like teenagers and stuff, because you don't learn any of this in school. Like you literally learn this is your period, use a pad, use a tampon, make sure you use a condom because you can get pregnant at any time of the month. Not true. And I feel like one thing that I like to do is have girls track their cycle.
Yeah.
So that way they know, because some people don't, and they just kind of get their period when they get it, and I'm like, you don't know it's coming.
Yeah,
you need to know your body.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like you should know your body and how this works. So cycle awareness therapy is, I believe, is so important. Being able to regulate your nervous system. Yes, we know that this is trendy, but I think when you're experiencing PMS or PMDD in the luteal phase, you really should focus on calming down, doing deep breathing, you know, using cold water, doing anything that is going to typically relax your nervous system, because that's kind of what's going off the charts when your hormones are changing.
Yeah. So try to do this especially before you hit your luteal phase, you know, so that you're training your mind and your body to have a, you know, reset nervous system. Don't wait. until you're in the thick of it, because it ain't going to work. It's not going to be helpful.
Right.
Setting boundaries around like the conflict and expectations during that time with yourself, with others, like boundaries is always important.
Absolutely. And like I said, in my own personal experience, medication has been really helpful for me through this. And it feels scary at first. And, I tried to put myself in like a client's shoes of my own. Like, how would I approach them and how would I talk to them? Like, if they were feeling biased about beginning medication and things like that. So these things can be helpful. And if it's going to help you, by all means, if it's going to give you better quality of life, it's worth a try.
Absolutely. And also, don't forget community support or therapy. Something like get that support. You don't have to do it by yourself.
Right.
And,
that's it.
That's it. You don't have to do it by yourself.
Right.
Get that support.
Get the help. Do what you got to do. Do some research. Learn about your body. Your body tells you everything that you need to know.
Yep. And remember, this is a brain-body condition. It's not a personality
Absolutely.
flaw.
Thanks for tuning in to this week's episode.
See you guys next week.
If you have any questions or would like to connect with us, please follow us on Instagram and send us a DM or send us an email to the platforms listed below.